Right, so thank you for joining us. Today we're doing our small business ARPA grant fund lottery. I will share my screen just a moment. We received 641 applications from the unincorporated area. Those applications were determined through a very extensive process using our GIS maps and things that sort of, shape files that identify the unincorporated businesses and identify businesses that are in our qualified census tracts and in our priority zip codes. So the unincorporated county received 641 applications. 80 of those applications were excluded from this lottery today. 34 of those were addresses that were either in a city or out of the county. 23 were duplicates, meaning they applied more than once. And 23 were business types that were not qualified to apply. So things such as insurance, brokers, realtors, that sort of thing, financial services. So we have 80 that were excluded for a total of 561 applications. In the priority zip codes, we have 311 applications. So again, back to those GIS files, they identify which businesses are in a priority zip or qualified census tract, and we're able to isolate those. So the first lottery that we're going to run is for the priority area of 311. There are currently 250 in the remaining business areas, but we're going to take what's remaining from priority and put it over into that second lottery. The priority amount is eligible for $550,000 worth of funding, whereas the second lottery will have businesses that will get funds for up to $450,000 for a total of $1 million. So that's just a summary to give you a little bit of a background. The document, which will also stay with the program documents that we have on file, is all of our review, our internal staff review, where we have identified certain applications that we're not, that we are excluding for those various reasons. So we have exclusions due to address, and I am going to go through these so that they're on the record. Exclusions due to duplicates. Exclusions due to either financial services or a whole array of things, phones not working, no business license, emails, no ability to connect with these people, and then exclusion due to either being a realtor or financial services again, Uber drivers, so various things here. Then we come to the rest of the group that was included. And again, this is just for the record of the folks that are being then put into the two lotteries. So this will just take a moment. You're almost there. Okay, so the businesses that are on this list that are marked as a priority zip code or qualified census tract are then pulled into this lottery. So these folks are here. And what I'm going to do now is run a random sampling. So it applies a random number, generates a random number for the business. And then we will put those numbers in order from smallest to largest. And this is the same method that the East Bay EDA is following for their 10 million that they are distributing. So we create this randomized number and then we fix it. And what I mean by that is we set it so that it doesn't change. And by setting it so that it doesn't change, if I make edits or movements in the file, it won't impact that number, meaning that number will stay with that entity. And then what we're doing is we're just pasting the values. So those numbers are now fixed. And then what I do is I sort this whole document by those numbers. So the first number is CC's Beauty Salon. And what I do here is I identify how many of these numbers, meaning here's the lowest, so they're our first pick, down to however far till we utilize all of that money. And all of these are identified with what amount they are allowed to receive based on whether or not they are a home-based business, which is $5,000, or a brick and mortar, which is allowed $10,000. So we are going to look at this number. I'm just going to hide a couple of cells, a couple of rows for a moment. So that I can see this a little bit more clearly on my screen. So we're up to 565. So what that means is I'm taking out a few people. And adding one back in. Let's see what we'll get. 555. So what that means is that we only have a $5,000 amount available. So if we scroll down to the end, BA 78, that is a 10,000 person. The next one is 10,000. And we have allotted 550,000. So therefore, we would need to go to the next home-based business. Does anybody have questions about that?
Eileen does.
I do.
Sure.
We didn't talk about this scenario, but I think what we do is we stop at 545 and then
Okay.
see, we're going to be doing a review of everyone that's been selected in the lottery.
Excellent.
And then everyone who, there could be some people that fall out for some reason.
Yep.
And then we just add people back in as we move through
Perfect.
as we move through. I wouldn't want to skip someone. If we don't have to.
Sounds good.
Skipping somebody who's 10 and going to a 5.
Yes. All right. Perfect. So
I
we're
would
going to go
just
to
say,
77.
let's stop at through 77 with 78 being next on deck.
Yep.
And then maybe we even, allocate, they're guaranteed to get 5 out of this, and then they could get 5 out of the second.
Perfect. Yeah, so that's excellent. So I've got it noted here that it's BA2 through BA77. We have them in green now. And so what we're going to do is copy the remainder. We're going to unhide the cells. Okay. And we will copy the remainder over to the other lottery and we'll run that. That sounds like a great plan to do the 545. Whoops, sorry. Sorry, guys.
You're doing great, Jamie.
So these will remain here because, as Eileen mentioned, we might have to go to the next one or two for whatever reason. So we're copying these. I'm saying that. It's never done that before. So there's always a snafu. See if we can copy up to 185. Not good. So there's something here with not being able to copy these. Let's try to, I think I'm going to try to export this into the desktop. It'll make it easier. It was not working earlier. Now it's working. And so that'll probably help us. Let's take a look at that lottery. So it has 1 through, perfect, 1 through 77 selected. I bet you this will work now. It sometimes is finicky from the web, but the desktop was not working earlier when we started. So that's why I was doing it from the web. Okay. We're going to go down to the end of the remaining businesses to their list. We're going to paste. So the items from the lottery area, lottery 1 priority 77 through the end have been copied and pasted over to here. You can see the first one starts with Aina Khan. All right, so now we are going to run the same exact lottery with this file. These randomized numbers will all be cleared. And we'll set up a new randomized number for everybody. And again, this is for 450,000. And we will request that it does that for each one. And after I randomize this, I will show you all of the businesses like I did for lottery 1. So that's a randomized number. Now we're going to fix the number by copying it and by pasting the value. Otherwise, if you don't fix it, it keeps changing. So now we have a randomized number. But before we do anything else, I would be remiss if I didn't show you all of the business names as we did the other time around. So before we sort for the randomized number, we're just going to look at all the businesses for the recording. So I might not go that slow, but it's just for the recording. Okay. And so now we're going to do a sort of the random number. Smallest to largest. It's just taking some time to process. Okay, just gonna make sure it's saving. And as a double check, because we've done all this nice work, I'm going to save a copy as well onto my desktop so that I don't, Murphy's Law is that sometimes you get funny computer things. And then we'll go through who the okay, so for the, let it just finish up, and then I'm going to hide a few of these columns so I can see it on my screen. Okay, so for the randomizer, we're going to start with this one as the first business, Nixit, LLC DBA Nixit, and we will create the calculation. To maximize the 450,000. Let's go ahead and take a look, 515. So what that means is I will take out a few to get it down to 450 or 455. Right, Eileen, if we want to tag on that 5,000. $60. $440. It's like Goldilocks, just right. So that's the 450, Eileen. We have the 545 on the other one. So I believe what you stated was we should just let it sit like that for now. And we can always
Yeah.
decide what we do. Okay,
Just like with this one, we, if anybody drops out, we just go to the next one on the list. This
Mhm.
lottery and randomization is fixed. This is the order. So if anybody falls out, we just go to the next one on this list. We're not going to re-lottery.
great.
So we're just fix this one. We'll work through
Yeah.
everything and make sure that we're
Mhm.
good. If everything's fine, we'll do those 60, whatever, 61.
Mhm.
And then same with the other one, we'll figure out how to get to the 550.
Great. So
Even if
for
it even if it includes giving somebody half a grand.
okay, good. So for the 450, the businesses that have been chosen are right here. Would you like me to read them out loud to you, or shall we just review them on the
Yeah.
screen?
You don't
Okay,
have to.
so-
read them. There's too many.
Yep. And then now we will go back to lottery 1 because I did not preview the whole thing earlier. For the business itself, starting with CC's Beauty Salon. These are the folks that are going to be awarded for the 550,000 portion.
I think it's 136 total grants at the moment.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, I haven't added it up yet. So 76 plus
Sorry, I had 75, 76,
Okay.
137 grants.
76 plus 60. Great. Okay. Well, wonderful. I would like to thank you all for joining us. Do any of our observers have any questions or comments that they'd like to have included in this discussion or recording? Okay. So what we will be doing is next steps, we will be reviewing all of these. There's one more piece of compliance. We want to make sure they have their W-9 in place, which has their tax identification number, and that their document is signed. And once all of that is in order, we will submit these applicants to our through our financial staff, our finance staff, and through the auditor's office. And as long as everything is all good with each of these entities, and we don't have to necessarily sometimes if there's something wrong for whatever reason, we just don't know yet. Once we dig in a little deeper, if we get rid of one, we will be going down to the next business in line based on the random sort. Yeah, and the auditor's office should be issuing checks to businesses by December 15th-ish, middle of the month, and they should receive them before the end of the year. This list is not public yet, so Gary, specific to the chamber, please don't announce it yet. But as soon as we do know, with 100% assurance that these are the businesses without any slight changes, we will let the business know, and we'll, take further steps in communicating that out to the small business community. All right, well, I am going to stop sharing my screen firstly, and then I'm going to stop recording. So thank you for joining us.